Well, welcome back to Ag City, a little piece of heaven down here at Junction T and 7. And we have a really neat podcast today. I'm blessed to have a young man here that I've known for several years, him and his family, Jeff Yahnig. And Jeff is we're just going to bat around a little bit, tell you a little bit more about what Jeff's been doing and all the exciting things. And he's an entrepreneur and just one of the best entrepreneurs that I know of. So we were very fortunate to have Jeff to spend a little time with us. Jeff, thanks for being a part of our program today.
Well, I appreciate it, Bill. I'm glad to be here. Tell you a little bit about myself. You asked. My birthday's tomorrow. I turned 61.
Wow.
Yeah, so
61.
you got me early.
Yeah.
The family moved down here back in the 60s. I've lived around here all my life. Matter of fact, the house that I live in now, I've been there for 40 years.
That's pretty cool.
Met my wife when we were 12 years old at the sale barn. And
So tell us a little bit about the sale barn. Where'd you meet at the sale barn?
That's the Archie sale barn. Went down there. It happened to be a good buddy of mine.
You know, the little gal that's doing our podcast from her family's from Archie. She was a cantrell.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So Anna's behind the scenes here, and so I always like to give a little shout out to Anna. And she makes everything work here for us, makes us look good, you know. So, and her family's down in Archie, and they actually run the sale barn.
And my wife's related to them.
Yeah,
So you're probably fourth cousins. That's nothing new. I've always got to be careful. That's what Susan and I, my wife, day after Christmas will be our 38th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
So 4 kids.
Yeah.
3 little grandkids. Been around Cass County all my life. Always been involved in agriculture and livestock and business.
Yeah.
And worked in, when I was 18, I was getting ready to go to college and had to lay out for a year and a half. And went to college and I'd had a back injury and I asked the doctor after 10 days in the hospital, I said, what type of therapy I need to do? And he said, well, there's nothing you need to do. He said, you were broke when you came in here and I fixed you. Just go live your life. Well, 2 back surgeries later, I found out he didn't fix me. And but I got to go to college and I was sitting in a class and they were talking about vocational rehabilitation, how to help people that are broke. Right. And whether it's physically, financially, or emotionally.
That kind of tugged at your heartstrings.
It did. Identify their strengths, and you want to shore up your weak spots, but you don't want to be reminded of them.
Sure.
And they seem to come together if you're working on your strengths. And throughout my business career, and I've worked with people and worked with livestock and worked with land, and it all kind of gets back to nature. And you and I have been talking about.
Well, that's one of the things that's pulled Jeff and I together a lot is, and we're not going to get down the hemp discussion much today, but one of the things that pulled us together is that we believe in healthy soil, and we believe that you're a steward of the God's blessing that's given us. And so there's so many things that kind of connected us. And we actually are looking at some ways that Jeff and I can work together on some of these projects that we have down here at Ag City coming on in 2026. So there's some really cool activities going on. But one of the things I'd like to dive into just a little bit of your past. I knew a little bit about your parents, but your dad and your mom, I think your dad's passed now.
Yes.
And your mom, is she still with you or not?
Yes, 90 years old.
She's 90 years old, and your dad was like 94 or something?
92 when he passed.
90. And so he was quite of an entrepreneur himself and in the teaching business. And you know, you had a family operation that grew up, and both of you have kind of taken different paths now in agriculture. But as I've known you, Jeff, you've always had a really deep passion for quality land, farmers, and helping people. And that's where you started in your discussion. I just kind of taken you back to that one thing that I want to focus on is your a little bit of your history. Is your history has been about doing what you were starting to share about, whether it's helping people financially, whether it's physically. And one of the things that you and I connect real well on is how we help our soils and how we help agriculture better.
Well, the more I study it, Bill, and it seems like it overlaps when it all gets down to it. And you and I have talked, and we've shared stuff about the greats and the emperors and motivational speakers
Sure, sure,
and
sure, sure,
multi-level marketing,
sure, sure.
and it all gets down to it. It reminds me of the story because it's people. And I was out checking cattle yesterday with my wife, and my grandson was sitting on the console, and he's 22 months old. And I thought he was saying yellow, yellow, yellow because he found him a new word. And I have a tendency when I answer the phone, I say yellow instead of hello.
Hmm.
And he was saying hello. And he was sitting there and he'd go, hello, hello, hello. And then he'd look at me and smile. He was trying to get his turn into the conversation. It
I
was
see.
breaking in and
So
stuff.
he's got some
And
of your traits.
he's got traits. It's what we're working with here, though, because I see that. And I said I had three grandkids. And it's all about taking the soil because we all are part of nature,
Yeah,
cleaning
yeah,
it up
yeah,
and making it the
yeah,
best that it can be. And
yeah.
I can see how we can do that. And in doing that, it's a communication. I'm sorry, it was hot in here. The uh, a communication with nature, and I see it in our kids,
Amen. Yeah,
and I see it. I see it in my parents. My both my grand, all four of my grandparents are born in the 1800s,
yeah,
so I go back kind of far back,
sure.
and they were all in agriculture.
Hmm.
And it's not where they all ended up in their life, but it was the
Where they
mainstay.
started. Yeah,
But you
for
look
sure.
back in the late 1800s, and 98% of the people were in
Sure,
farming.
sure.
And two things they always seemed to be in, and it was chickens and milk.
Hmm.
And you know when you look at that, that's the basics. As long as you got milk and eggs,
Hmm.
you're okay. You can
Well,
make it work.
and you and I, of course, there's about almost 20 years apart for us.
Yep.
I'm getting, a little older every day. And I'm getting a birthday coming up here pretty soon too. But you know, I grew up with a grandfather and a single mom. And she left home she born in 22, left home in 36. Granddad lost the farm in 36 and had six kids. I mean, but all of those made really good characters and families. You and I both share the opinion of the quality of a family and how important families are and how important grandparents are. Like you're sharing your story, but all that comes from your mom and dad and your mom and dad's history and when they came to. So you kind of find some really neat people that have a really good long relationship with families, and our families, we look and want to make them healthier, and that's why we've kind of talked a little bit about the quality of soil and all the things that you're doing. Now you might touch base or where you're at today with well, maybe not today, but where you've spent your life helping other people in different ways.
Well, the it goes back to, and I mentioned my grandparents. Both my grandfathers were gone before I was born, and but I knew my grandmothers, large families. My grandmother, my mom's side, there was 9 kids in her family, and Dad had 10 in his family. He had 5 older sisters. They all lived into their mid 90s,
Right.
and it's just something that there's longevity. It seemed in our family, and when I go back and look at that, Bill, like I think we all do, it was so much that they had a an openness to help other people
Hmm.
that you would see in them, and
Hmm. And that was
and
pretty prominent in rural communities.
it was in rural communities.
Rural
I think,
communities are really, they network well together, and and my folks would know what I did before I got home when I got in trouble. I mean,
yeah.
so the story, I think George Bush said 1,000 points of light, and maybe another said it takes a village, but all those things are kind of true.
Oh, they're true. When you listen to that thing, and we've talked about it before, there's true and there's the truth, and people are looking for what's true, and really that's all that we're here to do. And you can call it true, you can call it happiness,
Amen.
and we're looking
Amen.
for happiness, and there's really only one way to get that when you define it. Happiness isn't something you become. It's something that you create, and it
Mm-hmm.
takes two.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be able to get that on. I see that it's the same thing that we have in agriculture and what we're getting ready to go down the road and look at. That when you look at and we said we wasn't going to sit here and talk about hemp, yet it's a product that when you look at that goes back 10,000 years ago,
Well,
that is there to make soil better.
yeah, and I know that's what your and I connection right now is. We do some things here with the USDA, but we're going to talk about that in the next half of our discussion.
Okay.
And so we're going to kind of wind this first portion up with anything you would like to share about your past, your history. What's got you to here today at 61 years old? What's made the biggest difference to get you right here?
I think it's always been ingrained from me from the time I was in scouts to teaching life saving, to working with young kids when I was a young kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then working with young adults, training uh, people to work with others, which can be
Mm-hmm.
challenging, we
Mm-hmm.
know.
Sure, absolutely.
And when you do that, you look back, and at 60, I know that I'm different than when I was 20. A little bit more, I think, probably a lot more laid back in how that I look at things, and what we've talked about. You sent me something the other day that was Dennis
This way, Lee.
Waitley,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
uh, knowledge is the frontier of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at that and we understand that, who wouldn't want to be standing out there on a new frontier?
Mm-hmm.
And when we think of that, if we can clean our mind, if we can look at being the best that we can be, then we're always there at a
Mm-hmm.
new frontier,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
knowledge is it. And when you study that, and then when you asked me to come by and visit with you, and we'd been having some conversations, and I see that, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just talking about me change. You said the other day you're changing,
Absolutely.
and isn't that a
Absolutely.
good thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're not really a good dad until you become a dad. You're not a really good grandparent, you become a grandparent. All the things you learn through this walk in life hopefully takes you down a good path. And the one things that you and I both share is the quality of life out here in rural America. The worst case scenario of difficult situations is better than anywhere else that I could ever think about living in this part of the world and
Yes.
dealing with farmers and ag people and ag businesses. And we've got a really good, moral, high quality area to live in. That's one of the things Ag City's promoting is the opportunity to come down, smell, feel, touch this lifestyle that we've been blessed of being able to be a part of all these years.
Yeah, all the way back to that little 22-month-old boy. Hello, hello,
Hello,
hello.
hello, hello.
He just wants to
Hey,
communicate.
hey,
He wants to be a part of what's going on around him, and he
amen.
wants to give you a smile. And let's just take that and go forward.
Love it. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short and have a little commercial. We'll be right back with Jeff Yahnig and see you in a minute. Well, we really are. We're so happy to have Jeff Yahnig here today, and it was just really nice to have another rural American to be here and share some things with you. So, at this point, we always want to kind of plug our things that are going on. We have a raffle coming up January the 22nd, and we're going to have a little. I'm going to have a little birthday party involved in that. And we've got all of our Ag City people kind of coming together. We're going to share Ag City story. That's going to be down here at Steel Meadows. And we're going to have some things with Cultivate, Yaya Farms are going to be involved, Little Dixie. A lot of our people that are part of Ag City will be coming together here on January the 22nd. So we want to invite you to that. Really appreciate you keep watching our podcast. We know they're going up. We've had some really good feedback on our one that we had with at the plaza. A lot of information. We were just up there at a seminar. We did some of that. But again, it's just so happy to have you here at Junction TN7, a little piece of heaven. And we're about 30 miles from Clinton, 44 miles from Harrisonville. We work real close with the Chamber of Commerce, and we've actually started up a new relationship with the Chamber down in Clinton, Missouri. We want to really influence 7 highway from 35 or from I-49 to 13 highway. There's just a beautiful drive down 7 highway. We got small retail stores on both sides, down and towards Urick, down and towards Creighton, Missouri, on down towards 7. So we want to really encourage you to take this drive down 7 Highway. Stop at our little visitors bureau. Will be open next year or this 2026, and enjoy the little piece of heaven on 7, all the way from the visitors bureau clear down to Clinton, Missouri. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll get right back with Jeff Yahnig. What a great guy he is to interview. Well, we're back with Jeff Yahnig, and we had a great first part. We're going to talk a little bit about what Jeff sees, how we kind of connected together, rural America. But we're so happy to have him here today at Junction T and 7, little piece of heaven, about 30 miles from Clinton, Missouri, and about 4 miles out. A wonderful, wonderful spot. And if you ever get a chance to go to one of our podcasts, we have podcasts. We got them behind us. Check out our podcasts, and we have some things about that. So, Jeff, let's just jump right in there and talk a little bit about where we see life going out here in rural America, especially down here at Junction T and 7.
All right. Well, first, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah.
We got something going on here, and don't hold me on my dates. It was 7, 8, 10 years ago, and it seems to me like you and I struck up a pretty good conversation before the 1918 or the 2018 2019 deal passed.
Yeah.
And we were basically talking about hemp, and then they got into the oil, and I told you, come back and see me when they're just talking about hemp and fiber and cleaning up the soil. And here a few months back, you and I struck up another conversation, and you said, hey, would you like to talk again? And I'm excited about what I see that hemp was made for
Right.
in the beginning,
Right.
that it gets the toxins out of the soil. And I'd like to see the fact that proves it. Conversation I had with you the other day that you followed a test plot of beans with after hemp, and in just one season, the amazing things that we could see. And I think you and I have the ability to say that the reason was it was getting the toxins out.
Absolutely.
And it
Absolutely.
increased the yield. We also know that it allowed more moisture to stay in the ground so it could breathe and it could percolate. Bill, those things are exciting.
Well, and Jeff, the one thing, of course, I think I think the road that Jeff's going down right now, and he's right. I did, I've watched Jeff over the years, and we did talk about some of the things we were doing. And now, we were affiliated with Warshu, and we were affiliated with Babu down at Lincoln Universities, and now we have our own research license here at the research farm. The only that I know of, the only USDA research license that available, and so we're looking at research totally different than a university would. Our thing is all about agriculture and farmers and how we benefit the farmers. And so one of the things that got us here to this, where we're at this point today, I asked Jeff, they farm and his family farms, and he knows a lot of farmers. And I asked Jeff if he wanted to be a part of the USDA research. And, he's got a good mind. He thinks he doesn't, you got to prove your point, an SOP, an ROI, all those things have to come in place. But we see maybe some opportunities, and not just necessarily hemp, but all these other crops that have been kind of put on the sidelines for just corn and soybeans. Nothing against corn and soybeans. You've got big pharma all over that product, and whether they're subsidized through checkoff dollars and things and stuff like that. So they've got a big emphasis on that, and it's been really good for our country. But we believe there's some things that's better, maybe for the livestock people, the environment, and so Jeff has kind of come on board and is going to kind of work with our farmers on the USDA license.
Well, and that's the thing that's exciting because we need the numbers to back it up, and we need some things that people can that can look at. It's not just one farmer saying, "Hey, I did this and I had pretty good luck." Let's just show them and let's show
Mm-hmm.
them
Mm-hmm.
the numbers on it, the things that are looking that when you study your history on it, and there is history out there on it. And that's what you and I talked about. You got to find what the true history of it is,
Yes,
and
correct.
the thing that hemp is not marijuana.
Yeah,
Hemp is hemp. It's a
right,
complete different tool
right.
that nature has given us. And, the best way to take care of nature is to nurture her naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Yet when you look at that, we're not the ones taking care of her. She's taking care of us. And we're letting our things get underway. I spent a lot of years, probably the last 10, 12 years, going around talking to people about two things that are independent of each other, and it's health and wealth. And I can attribute that to the soil that we're talking about. Because here's the thing, Bill, doesn't matter if you're soil or if it's Bill Cook, you lose your health and you'll spend all your wealth trying to get your health back.
Sure,
And it's never back to where it's supposed
sure,
to be.
sure.
And if you lose your wealth, you will lose your health trying to get your wealth back. There's a balance that has to be here. So, what we have to do here with USDA, I believe, is to use that as a tool to show the connection that we have with soil.
And it's so important right now. And of course, there's and again, not only, and we did some studies with corn and sunflowers and sorghum, and there's some other things that take the heavy metals and the nasty stuff out of our soil. And when we clean that up, then what happens is we're not eating eggs that have problems. Our meats are better. And you look at a lot of the smaller agriculture, especially what we appreciate so much out here in rural America. Smaller agriculture has more time to think and has more time to study the benefits of their product, and the benefits to the product is to the consumer, and how the consumer is health is one of our most important issues. And so all of those things making up the research, and of course, what was really a blessing for us, and for Daphne Cook was a part of getting that. We have a whole bunch of people. We've kind of got a little bit of a rollover now because we only keep people for so long because it's what we do isn't high paying. And so research is it comes with a lot of compassion for whatever you're doing research on, and you're thinking that you're doing something that's beneficial, for your now. I've got kids and grandkids, and I've got great grandchildren, and so all of a sudden your whole mindset changes to how do you benefit those young people with whatever you've got to do. And the one thing about you, Jeff, that's been always interesting, and you've always been positive, and you've always been out there you always knew how to make a living, and you've did quite well. I mean, I don't know your finances, but you've been very successful, whether it's buying farms or doing the things you're doing. So that success is one of the things that we want to kind of bleed over into some of the things we're trying to do, and share with that compassion with rural America and agriculture.
Well, and I hope I can bring that to the table. The and being able to teach with it. It's all about learn, do, and teach. And I've been through the learning phase and the doing phase, and I'd like to teach. And the reason why I want to move on to the teaching phase, though, is because we're always wanting change. We're always wanting to learn. I want to learn more. And I know there's a lot of history that has to do with the hemp crop in its place. But that's a history that we've done everything we could do to lose for the last 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing here is kind of new. And let's face it,
It is
uh,
it's a new opportunity.
it's a new
Yes, right.
opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why we haven't been talking about the toxins in the soil and how to get them out is because we didn't know how.
Well, we're too busy putting them in there.
There you go.
we're,
There you
we
go.
and they're not, anytime you get certain types of fertilizer, you're going to have certain types of toxins,
Yeah.
and and that's going to go in your soil. It's got to get cleaned out. Now, Mother Nature has a way to clean it up, but it's a lot slower, and it's a lot more opportunity if you let her use what she has to do it, whether
Yeah.
it's the hemp or whether it's ditch weeds or whatever. So she will work on cleaning her soil up if you give her the opportunity.
Well, and the best tool and the only tool that I've seen, and I saw it before. You know, we started talking 8, 9, 10 years ago, and it was hemp. And when I saw that, I thought that's good, but I wasn't talking about selling. I didn't think there was a market for anything. And you can't just take it and grow it up 10, 12 feet, mow it down, because then you're pulling the metals out of the ground. You're putting them on the top.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm,
Yet if we can come up and we market it and take it away, and you even have a deal, and that's USDA plots that you
mm-hmm,
did it in.
mm-hmm.
You windrowed it, and I guess I could say this, and you burn it off.
Right. Well, what we're trying to figure out is how we get that next crop with the highest yield. And so if you can pull out those heavy metals and the things that will slow down that other crop, and then they got products out there right now that the biochar is one of the big
Mm-hmm.
things. It's hard, it's a little bit expensive, but if you can turn your hemp into biochar and actually, well, that's what we did on the research. We actually burned plots and tried to get the biochar back in the soil. And we're talking all kinds of crazy things, but we'll go down probably 6 or 7 months. We'll have another podcast, and we've only got so much time to share on this one. But kind of leaving this kind of closing remarks would be. Um, you know, the optimism is there for something better for our agriculture. We got all kinds of agricultural issues. We got rural America issues. We got urban issues. What we believe is your best life is to come out here, smell, touch, feel, get acquainted with rural America. Get acquainted with rural businesses. Get acquainted with people that wave and talk and visit and share experiences and communicate. And that's what rural America is all about.
Well, I'll tell you a story about rural America. My mom's dad in 1913 graduated from Penn State. There was an ag college, and he worked in the ag profession, running big dairies. And they had 9 kids. Lost his 2 oldest sons in World War II. The And he didn't talk to a lot of people. But my dad would come around when he was dating my mom, and he'd just talk his leg off.
Mm.
And he was right after he got married. He was looking to buy a farm, and it was 9:30 at night, and they happened to be over at the in-laws. And he said, "I think I'm going to buy a farm." And he said, "Well, let's go look at it." And he said, "It's dark out." And he said, "That's okay." And he grabbed a shovel, and they went out and looked at a piece of ground over here in Cass County. And he walked out there in the headlights, and he dug down about 8, 10 inches. And Dad said that old man bent over, and I said I saw him rubbing it between his fingers. So I knew he was going after to see what type of loam it had. And he said, then he smelled it. So he was checking for that sulfur. And he said, I can't swear to this, but I'm almost sure he tasted it and swirled it around and spit it out.
Mm.
He was doing a 1913 Penn State agricultural soil
Mm.
test on
Mm.
that ground
Mm.
right there.
Mm.
And to this day, I can drive you by that spot, and it's the best looking beans in Cass County.
Mm. Wow, that's a great
He
story.
and he looked up there and spit that out, and he said, "Young man, I'd buy this farm."
That's a great story to end on. And Jeff, I tell you, it's been so much fun having you here today. And I look forward to working on and off with a lot of projects with you this year. And I hope you all have enjoyed this podcast. It's just been a pleasure to get here and visit with you. We have a lot of conversations, send stuff, text us back and forth. We dream big dreams, but that's what life's about. So
I,
again, thank you for. You want to share something?
I just appreciate you for your time. Appreciate you all for your time, and thanks for letting me share a little bit of my life.
Jeff, been a pleasure.
Been a
God
pleasure.
bless you, man.
You bet. You have a good
Thanks
day.
for joining us.
Thank you.